Granny's Raps on the News.
Go ahead.
Most of you are used to seeing us at Granny's place, where Granny rocks, also known as Beth Green, plays the piano, makes us laugh, and answers our questions in profound and unexpected ways. And this, by the way, is on Wednesday evenings. But Beth also has a long history as a social commentator, and some of us have asked her to comment on current events as well. So tonight, we're going to have a brief live stream on the following theme: Kavanaugh, a chink in the good old boys network. Why we should all be celebrating. Why is that, Granny? Or what do you want to say about this?
Well, first of all, I want to say hello to Erica, Elizabeth, Amy. Hi, the people who've identified themselves so far. I'm really happy to be talking about this today. I have been riveted, as so many of us have, to watching what's been going on in the Kavanaugh hearings. And I have felt like totally traumatized by the experience. It brought up a lot of experiences for me of being sexually assaulted as a young woman. But if you were identifying with Kavanaugh, you may have felt like you were unjustly accused of something, and you felt traumatized by that. And so you may be traumatized in that way. But all of us have been traumatized in some way, and we're all identifying. Now, why am I talking about the Chink in the Good Old Boys Network and why we should all be celebrating? The Good Old Boys Network is the tendency of like people to come together and protect each other against the truth, against accusations, and so on. And you could certainly see this in the Kavanaugh hearing. I'm not saying that the guy is guilty. I'm saying that it was sort of shocking that there was so little willingness to go ahead and do an FBI investigation. But that should not. Hi, Sandra. Glad. I don't think I've ever met you before.
And Amy, too.
Yeah, I already said hello to Amy. So, so what I'm noticing is that, hi, REA, that we have a tendency to protect our own. Okay, white people protect ourselves against black people protect themselves against white people, men protect themselves against women protect themselves against men. So if somebody is being accused of something, so like, oh, everybody gets together and say, oh no, it couldn't have been a member of Phi Delta Bubba that where, you know what I'm saying? Oh no, not us, you know. And so many of us who have been abused, sexually or physically assaulted, have hit these walls where we could not be heard. And again, without prejudging Kavanaugh, I would like to say that that is what it felt like to me. And I have had experience after experience after experience. For example, I was raped at knife point, not once, but on two different occasions. And I went to the police, and other people's, pushing me to do that. And I was treated worse by the police than I was treated by the rapist. And I am not kidding you, but I don't want to waste time telling you this story. It was so obviously the Good Old Boys Network. So when I say that, it could be women could be the Good Old Boys Network. So now why am I saying that there's been a chink in that? Well, that's pretty obvious, right? Because we actually saw eventually, after all of this angst and upset, that there were people in the Republican Party who were willing to say, well, at least let's do an investigation. And it has taken how many years? I'm 73 years old. For me to see something like that happening, I just could cry. And I want justice for Judge Kavanaugh. I want him to have a hearing, and I want justice for all of us. But more important than that, and in the past I've been talking about this, and I've been talking about why we're not looking at why our young men do these behaviors, why they're drinking, why they are committing all of the sexual assault. It happens all the time on high school and college campuses, even today. So, let's not act like, oh, we're so, holier than thou. And, we're only beginning now to do something about it. But at least something is being said and something is being done. In my day, it was boys will be boys. But why should everybody celebrate? Why should men celebrate? Well, because if anybody has been hurt by the Good Old Boys Network, it's men. You guys have been damaged severely by brutality from older men or stronger men or heterosexual men against gay men. or any kind of man who looks weak, disabled people, any kind of minority, anybody who has any kind of vulnerability has been hurt by power. And a lot of that power has been held by men over the millennia. And young men are brought up feeling like they have to choose between being the victims or being the victimizer. You can see it at work, you can see it in business, you see it everywhere, that young men are also brutalized. I think Cory Booker said today that the Center for Disease Control said that 1 out of 3 women has been sexually assaulted. Trust me, as a counselor, I know it's more than that. And he said 1 out of 6 boys, men, have been sexually assaulted. You know, this utilization of sex in order to assert power is just part of the way that those in power have tried to maintain their power. And those young boys have been given the message that they need to look tough, or that they need to be exploitative towards women, or they need to be able to, imbibe 600 kegs of beer in 3 minutes in order to prove their manhood. And then they turn that against, either women or other men, and that comes out of their own fear. And they have to live with the guilt and the shame. And I'm telling you, I have been a counselor for 35 years, and I've seen in the hearts of so many men who have been brutalized by other men who are afraid of the bullies at the schoolyard, or the bullies who happen to be their fathers, or any kind of bullying, whether it's race, gender, sexual identification. Why are so many gay people afraid to come out? Because they're afraid of the powers that be. What we have seen today is finally we're beginning to see a chink in that. We just saw that with the Catholic Church. How isn't that the good old boy network protecting its own? Is that any different from the U.S. Senate trying to push through some guy who's probably in their country club? It's no different, and it's hurtful. And I don't care if you're a man or a woman who's doing the brutalization. We are all accountable. We may have, how do we know what happened to Judge Kavanaugh? If in fact he did these things, I wonder why he did. Why was he drinking like that when he was a young boy? What was the problem? What was he experiencing in his life? I want to see these questions asked and answered. I want us as a society to be looking at these issues and stop polarizing between men and women, between Republicans and Democrats, and see the sickness that we see that is perpetrated on our young people who feel like they have to go into these macho roles in order to be seen as equals and brothers, and in order not to be devastated by other men who seem more powerful than they are and who can hurt them. We need to reach out to one another, and we need to say enough is enough with the good old boys network, whoever is perpetrating it, and that we all need to heal. I have to say that after days of feeling traumatized by this experience of watching these hearings, that I have come back to remembering that our world has changed. This would not have happened 73 years ago when I was born. Believe me, I've had plenty of experiences, and I bet you have too. And today we saw a chink in that good old boy network, and there are more to come. And this is for everyone's sake. We need to help our young people. We need to help our young men to have a different standard of manhood other than being powerful, hurtful, and winning in a game where everyone loses. God bless. See you Wednesday. If not before, you never know when Granny is going to rap on the news.